everyone. This is Inside the TMC family, and we've got like a super special edition of two people reconnecting today. I have with me Jen Peachman, VP and Director of Strategic Lending at GVC Mortgage. Jen, thank you for doing this with me.
I'm so happy to be here, Faith. How are you?
I'm doing good. I'm kind of excited because we've known each other for a while. You're actually the reason why I ended up at the Mortgage Collaborative. So I owe you like a big one somewhere along there because you know this has been just a great thing. And some of these questions I'm going to ask you, I don't know about you. So I'm excited to hear like how this all has worked out for you and where you started and some of those things personally that we've never had a chance really to dig into. So here we go.
Sounds great.
What was your first job ever?
My first job ever was a paper route. My mom was the operations manager for our local paper, the Avon Lake Press. It's no longer in print. The high school kid that lived next to me on our street that I had a super big crush on got to that age of he didn't want to do the paper route stuff anymore. And at that time, paper routes were really hard to come by and like a really coveted kid job. So I inherited that paper route and delivered every Wednesday and Sunday for about 3 or 4 years, I think.
Wow.
Until
Good
we
for
moved
you.
away. Yeah, it was a fun job. I'll tell you what, I remember going to every house before I started taking over and asking them where they wanted their paper placed and introducing myself. And I still know where some of those people wanted their papers when I drive down my old street in this city. So
That is hysterical. But again, that kind of speaks to like who you are. You were always taking care of people and wanting them to have things the way they wanted them to be. So that's funny when you think back on like how early that was. So
right.
then obviously college and other things happen after that point in time. But how did you get into mortgage? How did that
I
happen?
fell into it like everyone else, Faith. I mean, so my dad is now retired, but he was an executive at National City Bank for many, many years. And I was going into my sophomore year of college, and he said, "Hey, we have this special project internship program. It's like a management training program. I can get your resume to the top of the stack. I can't guarantee that you're going to get the job, but come and apply." And at the time, I was a shift supervisor at CVS, right? Making like $7 an hour. And this was 10. And I was like, $10 an hour? I'm there. So there was about 10 of us that they hired over the summer. I was the only one to get hired on full time. So I kind of continued with the management training program at National City and they did tuition reimbursement for me. So I kind of
Nice.
changed after sophomore year to a more non-traditional student in that I was working full time. I met my husband too. That had an impact on it. So I was working full time at National City and going to school nights and weeks at weekends. And, it took a little bit longer than I anticipated, but, fell in love with, they put me through like a 6-week training course. I started in kind of processing and funding and closing. And I was super impressed from a girl who didn't know what a mortgage was other than her parents had one, like how well I knew it in just a short amount of time. So at the time, I was wanting to go be a trainer, and I had originally wanted to be a kindergarten teacher. And then I realized I couldn't hack it as a kindergarten teacher. They're just a little too young for me. So I kind of got into like the training roles at National City and at a community bank. And yeah, I fell in love at, 23, 4 years ago, and I'm still in the industry.
Yeah, it's amazing how that happens. I swear there's like some genetic component or there's something in our blood that like keeps us in this industry. And that's one of the things I think our industry is filled with really great people.
It is.
So we should feel very fortunate that we get to be part of that. Is there one thing like as that young person that you wish somebody would have just told you that this is really important or you should do this that you would tell somebody now in that position?
I don't say as yes as often as I did when I was young, but I would say if there's one thing I've learned over the years, it's be open to saying yes to every new opportunity that comes your way. You never know what it's going to turn into.
Yeah.
I've been around the industry, and every position I've ever been offered has been from a relationship that I've made through the industry. So you never know what's going to happen. I think to your point, it's people and connections. Like that's at the heart of our industry, from the LO to the back end to what we do, or salespeople and vendors. It's so relationship based, and really forming really strong and true connections with people. So just say
Yeah.
yes whenever you can.
Yeah. I think that's a great idea and something that I don't do well and always have to work on. But I think that's a great thing for somebody coming in to know. If you weren't in mortgage, what would we find you doing?
It's
Besides
funny.
golfing, maybe.
Yeah, I mean, if I didn't have to work, I'd be hiking somewhere or doing some visiting all the national parks. But if I had to not be in the mortgage industry and needed money, I would probably say I would love to be a professor or
Mm.
coach women's sports. I've always been a sports junkie, and I'm like that loud mom on this cheerleading sides of my kids. Like they're like, "Mom, calm down." And they're actually hiring for a golf coach in the school that I played golf at, and my daughter did. And someone was like, "Are you going to go do that?" I was like, "I just don't have the time," but that would be really cool. And I think just my training background, like I just love helping people learn. Earlier this year, through the MBA, I got to teach the first ever undergraduate course that's
I
mortgage
saw that.
related at Cleveland State. And it was awesome. I didn't really know what I was getting into, but I'll tell you what, three or four of the kids stayed after class, and a couple of them I'm in contact with, and one I'm mentoring. And, I always try to give back. But after I did that, I was like, man, this college professor thing seems really cool. It's something I could do.
Yeah, I could see that totally. And it does kind of go back to your training background and serving people, which is always what you've done so well. You have had the unusual opportunity that not everybody gets, but you've had a chance to see TMC. You're now in at with a lender member. So
From all sides.
yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. So share with me yeah, I think I know this already, but share with me what your favorite thing about being part of the TMC family is.
I think since the very, very early days, and I think you're going to agree with me, it's always been about the people. Like, there is just something special about TMC in general. I think some of the best people in the industry are a part of it. And when you're able to sit and connect with folks on a really real level and create those relationships, that like I'm still best friends with some of the folks from my original collab lab group from like 10 years ago. So like it's just the people and the openness and willingness to have real conversations. It's I haven't seen it anywhere else.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's like, it is. I always say that no matter what you're doing, I mean, here work wise, or even, if you think about it personally, it really is kind of all about, I always say it's all about the people and those connections. And, we all have great friends in the industry and within our TMC family. And we're so thankful that you got to come back in to the
Yay. Yeah.
TMC family with one of the lenders that has been in our network for a long period of time. So I look forward to seeing you at any industry event, at one of our next events. And I really appreciate the fact that you would do this with me today.
Well, I appreciate the invite. I'm so happy to be back on the TMC family. I think, from working at the co-op to the vendor network, and now I'm at another lender, it's just good to be back. And, I think the one thing about TMC is it's collaboration at another level. It's always been that way. And I'm excited to get back into things. I hope I get to see you at the fall conference. So keep
I
me
do
posted.
too. I
Yeah,
do too. I do too. We'll try to make that happen in some way. So,
you got it.
thanks again for doing this and hope to see
Anytime.
you very soon.
You got it. Thanks, Faith.